Christmas dinner. My niece looked my boy straight in the eyes. Nana says you two don't really belong here. My sister burst out laughing. I didn't argue, didn't yell, just grabbed our coats and walked out. Later that night, Mom texted asking about her usual holiday cash. I sent 2 words back. Never again. Then my phone exploded. There's a particular kind of quiet before everything falls apart. Not peaceful. More like something dying slowly where nobody wants to look. That was my Christmas. We showed up like always, arms full of presents I'd spent hours wrapping, a dish nobody would touch, and my son Lucas, 13 years old, eyes that see way too much for his age. He's been picking up on things I tried to hide from him forever. The place looked perfect, magazine ready. My younger sister Olivia had taken over everything, telling Mom where to put the wine glasses, which serving bowls to use. Her daughter Brooklyn had claimed the entire front room. Craft supplies everywhere. Dance trophies lined up like monuments. Every single decoration had her fingerprints on it. The photo wall? Not one picture of Lucas or me. Just Olivia, Brooklyn, and Mom. Like we'd been photoshopped out of existence. Lucas felt it. Sat pressed against me on the sofa, clutching this small gift he'd wrapped himself for Brooklyn. She tore it open. Didn't even glance up to say thanks. Then she turned to him, stone-faced, and dropped the bomb. Nana told me you and your mom aren't permanent, just temporary. Olivia laughed, that sharp, cruel kind of laugh. Mom? She kept scrolling on her phone like nothing happened. I stood up, told Lucas to get his jacket. We left. The present lay forgotten on the carpet where Brooklyn had tossed it aside. We didn't talk during the drive. Not until we got inside our apartment and I found Lucas sitting on his bed, still holding the wrapping paper from her gift. That's when it finally clicked. This wasn't just preference. This was planned, methodical. And I'd been accepting it for years because I was terrified of being the one who ruins the holidays. While I stood at the sink that night, my phone buzzed. Text from Mom. Don't forget my Christmas money. Hope work's treating you well. That's all. No acknowledgement of what went down. No, sorry. Just her annual reminder that I bankroll half her life and cover Brooklyn's expensive dance classes. I was a checkbook to her, a reliable source of funds. I stared at those words, then typed back, never again. Didn't elaborate, didn't soften it. Put my phone on silent and slept better than I had in months. Morning came, the peace ended. Call after call, Mom, then Olivia, some aunts, a few cousins, half trying to play diplomat, the other half guilt-tripping me hard. Brooklyn didn't understand. Olivia was exhausted. Mom didn't hear what was said. I was overreacting. But nobody, not one single person, asked how Lucas felt, or how I felt. They wanted the funds. They wanted the version of me that smiled through humiliation and made their celebrations sparkle. That version died. I wasn't just stopping payments. I was cutting ties. Completely. And what came next would hurt even more. Asterisk, asterisk, escalation, asterisk, asterisk. By day 3, the voicemails changed. Mom's sugary tone cracked into barely hidden panic. The usual guilt tactics. Family is everything. Life's short. Brooklyn's just a kid. Then at the end, like an afterthought, was there some issue with my Christmas money? Haven't seen it come through. She didn't believe me, or thought I'd crack like I always had before. The old me would have. Instead, I opened my laptop, pulled up the account I'd been funding monthly for nearly 10 years. Set it up when Dad died, and she claimed she was drowning financially. Supposed to be short-term, somehow became forever. Small balance left. I transferred it to my personal account and shut it down. The bank asked for confirmation. I clicked yes, without hesitation. Next, Brooklyn's dance tuition. $400 every month like clockwork. Started when Olivia hit hard times 4 years back. Was supposed to be temporary. She never mentioned it again. Just let it continue. Lucas used to dance there too. Until the teachers made it painfully clear who the golden child was. After he quit, I kept paying out of guilt, out of habit, out of some twisted belief that I was keeping peace. But this wasn't peace. This was me surrendering. I emailed the studio. Revoked authorization. Clean break. Hours later, text from Olivia. No greeting. Did you seriously cancel Brooklyn's tuition? What is wrong with you? I ignored it. Next message included a screenshot of the declined payment and a rant about how I was punishing an innocent child, how I was being dramatic, how I'd regret acting like a jealous brat. That made me laugh. Jealous of what, exactly? I didn't respond. Made another call. The dancewear shop where I kept a credit line for Brooklyn's costumes. Another favor that became permanent. Closed it. Olivia started calling from different numbers. I answered once. Wanted her to hear how calm I sounded. She exploded, yelling about Brooklyn being devastated. About the winter showcase they couldn't afford now. About mom crying nonstop. I stayed silent, let her fill the void. Then she struck. You're doing this because you've always been second best, because you're bitter that mom and I are close, and you're just there. That landed. Not because it was true, because she said it so casually, like it was just fact. She hung up when I didn't bite. Later, another text from mom. Just 2 words. We need to talk. I didn't answer. I was already 3 steps ahead. For years, I'd been the invisible one, the helper, the one who filled financial holes and stayed silent. Now that the money vanished, they were panicking, and the more they panicked, the more cracks appeared. What they didn't realize yet? The silence wasn't the finale. It was the warning shot. Because if losing my money hurt them, wait until they lost my silence too. Asterisk, asterisk, revelation, asterisk, asterisk. I wasn't planning to tell everyone. That wasn't the goal. I cut them off to stop bleeding, not start drama. Then my cousin Riley texted, Hey, did something weird happen at Grandma's on Christmas? I ignored it initially. Figured Olivia was already spreading her version. Riley followed up fast. Olivia's telling everyone you lost your mind, that you stormed out over Brooklyn's innocent joke, that Lucas has been struggling and maybe you're just overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. That's what they went with. The dismissal hurt less than the predictability, like they'd scripted this response in case I ever stopped playing my assigned role. I called Riley. Don't usually call anyone, but this was different. She answered, worried. I told her everything, didn't hold back this time. How Brooklyn called us temporary, how Olivia laughed, how Mom sat there silent like we were invisible, how Lucas didn't speak the entire drive home, how I'd funded nearly everything in that house at some point, how they treated me like a visitor with a credit card who wasn't allowed on the furniture. Riley went quiet. Then, nobody knows this. You should tell the others. I didn't want to. I'm not the blast everyone type. I don't vague post. But then I remembered what Olivia said on the phone. You're just there. That's how they discussed me behind my back. Just there. So I sat down. Wrote an email. Didn't embellish. Didn't dramatize. Made it detailed. Dates. Payments. Favors. Forgotten birthdays. Cruel comments. Brooklyn's exact words on Christmas. Attached a photo of Lucas holding the unopened present when we left. Hit send. CC'd every relative I could find. Responses trickled in, then flooded. Shock. Apologies. Some anger, but not at me. Then the real surprise. Aunt Natalie forwarded a screenshot from September. Message she'd gotten from Mom. Scarlett's always difficult. If we include her, everything becomes about her. It's easier if she just doesn't come. Plus, Brooklyn gets uncomfortable around Lucas. Uncomfortable. The kid who sat quietly every year. Who never complained. Who tried so hard to fit in. My mother had made him the villain. Uncle James forwarded another message Olivia sent last summer about a family barbecue I never knew existed. Don't invite Scarlett. She always brings weird vibes. She thinks we owe her because she helps with dance costs. That's when it hit me. I hadn't been excluded. I'd been managed. Olivia and Mom had built this narrative over years. Slow and strategic. I wasn't distant. They made me look distant. I wasn't unavailable. They just never invited me. But every time I didn't show, they told everyone it was because I was moody, sensitive, always working. And for years, I believed maybe they were partly right. Aunt Grace called the next night. Didn't even say hello. Just, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I believed everything they told me. She wasn't the only one. Olivia must have figured out what I'd done because 2 days later, she did something incredibly stupid. Posted a long, dramatic Facebook message. The kind that says, I won't go into details, but some people think money replaces love, and ends with, "Please keep Brooklyn in your prayers," but she left it public. Within an hour, 4 cousins were in the comments. Is this about Scarlett? Because maybe tell the whole story then. She deleted it? Not fast enough? And here's what shocked even me. 2 families who always hosted big gatherings quietly uninvited Olivia and Mom from New Year's. No announcement, just this year's smaller. Hope you understand. I wasn't invited either. But for once, it wasn't because they forgot me. It was because they didn't want to pick a side without addressing what happened first. They weren't used to me having a voice. But truthfully, I always had one. They just never heard it over the noise of what they wanted me to be. And I still wasn't finished, because there was one more place Brooklyn's name appeared on a scholarship funded by a donor she didn't even know. That donor was me. Asterisk, asterisk, climax, asterisk, asterisk. The scholarship almost slipped my mind. Years ago, when Brooklyn got into that elite conservatory, Olivia called sobbing. Tuition was impossible. They'd have to pull Brooklyn out unless something miraculous happened. Everything with Olivia is always life or death. She said Brooklyn had genuine talent, that the instructors believed in her, that this was her only shot. I didn't just help. I created an entire scholarship fund. The school didn't need a real name, just consistent payments and a signature, so I invented one. ML Foundation, using my initials and an old family name. Told the school I wanted to anonymously support talented dancers from struggling families. But really, I only ever meant one dancer, Brooklyn. For 3 years, I paid without missing a deadline. Nobody knew. Not even Lucas. Final payment was due early January. I still had time. Logged into the donor portal and ended it. One checkbox. Terminate future funding. Expected to feel something? Anger. Satisfaction. Even guilt. Nothing. Just stillness. 2 days later, Olivia called. I didn't pick up. She left a screaming voicemail. You ended the scholarship. What the hell is wrong with you? She's been preparing for that performance all year. Then texts, you're actually punishing a child over a misunderstanding. Are you really this unstable? I didn't respond. Not because I had nothing to say. Because finally, I didn't need to explain myself. Olivia was unraveling. Mom wasn't much better. According to Riley, Mom started calling relatives trying to set the record straight, telling people I'd always resented Olivia's success, that I'd isolated Lucas and refused to participate in family life long before Christmas. She even told Aunt Maria I'd likely been drinking again. I've been sober 7 years. That line hit harder than expected. Not shock, just recognition. When everything else failed, my mother always knew how to tear people down in ways they couldn't disprove. But this time it didn't work. Aunt Maria texted me. She sounds like she's spiraling. I think she knows she went too far. The fallout spread in quiet ripples. One cousin backed out of helping with Mom's mortgage. Another told me they'd always wondered why Lucas never appeared in holiday photos. People were finally seeing what they hadn't wanted to see before. And for once, they weren't blaming me for the damage. They were realizing it had just been painted over. Late one night, message from an unknown number. No name, just, why did you stop helping me? Brooklyn. 12 years old. Old enough to have her own phone. Old enough to type that out. Maybe old enough to know what she said at Christmas was cruel, but not old enough to understand what it cost. I stared at it. Didn't answer. Not because I didn't care. Because what I wanted to say wasn't for her. It was for the 2 women standing behind her every time she opened her mouth. And they weren't listening. Lucas saw the message over my shoulder, stayed quiet at first, then asked if we could skip spring break this year. No relatives, just us. Maybe a cabin or beach somewhere quiet. I told him we could go anywhere. Because this was it. The door wasn't just closed. It was locked. And I wasn't leaving a spare key anywhere. But Mom wasn't finished. She was about to make one final move to save face. And in doing so, she sealed everything. Asterisk. Asterisk. Resolution? Asterisk. Should have seen it coming. Silence from my mother isn't surrender. It's strategy. Found out through Riley again. She sent me a picture of a church bulletin. My mom was being honored at a charity luncheon. Women of strength, celebrating mothers who inspire generations. Right there under the flowery praise was Mom's full name. listed as a family pillar, someone who'd selflessly guided her daughters through hardship, who now helps raise her granddaughter with grace and strength. Read like fiction, not even good fiction, like fan fiction written by someone who only saw her in church clothes, smiling politely, handing out cookies. I laughed. Not from humor. From being able to picture the whole thing. Soft music, polite applause, mom at a podium accepting praise for a reality she'd spent years constructing in front of everyone but me. Told Riley to let it go. Let them have their show. People believe what looks prettier anyway. But mom wasn't satisfied with applause. She needed an audience, a bigger one. So she sent a mass email to the entire family. Subject line: family isn't always easy, but it's everything. I opened it knowing I shouldn't. Long, carefully crafted. Like she'd drafted it 5 times. Talked about raising 2 daughters alone. How she always put us first. Opened her home and heart. How she was watching history repeat with Olivia and Brooklyn. Another generation of love, patience, and strength. Then came the part about me. Didn't use my name at first. Just a person who has chosen distance. Then, some people carry old wounds and turn them into walls. I've tried. I really have. But when someone chooses to remove themselves, you can only hold the door open so long before it becomes a burden. Burden. That's what I'd become. And for a moment, it worked. That word hit harder than expected. Not because it was true, because it was exactly the language she used to twist the knife while playing victim. I didn't respond. Didn't have to. Uncle James replied first. Just one line. Or maybe she didn't remove herself. Maybe she was erased. Then Aunt Natalie. I don't remember Scarlett being invited to anything the past 2 years. Maybe the door wasn't as open as you think. Then Cousin Carter. We all saw the email about Scarlett bringing weird vibes last summer. Did you forget you sent that to half the family by accident? That was the turning point. Suddenly, the thread wasn't about me at all. It was about Mom, her selective memory, her stories, her careful shaping of everyone's role. One by one, people started stepping back. Not dramatically, just unsubscribing, muting, asking to be left out. It wasn't loyalty. It was quiet disbelief, the kind that makes people wonder how long they've been fooled. Riley called that night and said something that stuck. It's not just what you said. It's that they never saw it until you did. You breaking the pattern made it impossible to keep pretending. Thought that would be the end. But 3 days later, Lucas got a birthday card in the mail. No return address? Inside, you're still welcome here if you change your mind. No cash, no gift card, just that sentence. Mom's handwriting told me everything I needed to know. She didn't get it. She thought maybe Lucas would break. Come back alone. Pick them over me. That she still had time to rewrite him the way she tried to rewrite me. But she didn't understand that Lucas had already made his choice long before I did. That was the last I heard from her or Olivia. But someone else had been watching everything, quiet, on the sidelines. And they were about to step into the chaos with a voice that would flip the entire family upside down. Asterisk, asterisk, aftermath, asterisk, asterisk. Thought cutting the money was the finale. Then thought the silence was. But the real ending didn't come from anything I did. It came from everyone else waking up at once. Started slow. Few texts, couple late-night calls. An old cousin from Colorado I hadn't heard from in years reached out on Facebook. Said he didn't want to take sides, but after reading everything, he couldn't pretend he hadn't. Then came the rest. Turns out my email didn't just land in inboxes. It detonated. Screenshots got shared. Private conversations surfaced. People started comparing notes, old favors, missed invitations, backhanded remarks. It wasn't just me. Had never been just me. I was just the first to stop applauding. Uncle James called and said, "You just said what most of us have been thinking for years. You had the guts. Rest of us were just exhausted." By mid-January, family group chats were ghost towns. Events were canceled. New Year's was called off due to scheduling, but Riley told me the truth. Half the family pulled out after seeing how Mom tried to spin everything. Some had kids now, too. Said they couldn't stomach raising them around that kind of quiet cruelty. Mom tried damage control. Called everyone, still willing to pick up. Told them I was exaggerating. that I'd always been sensitive, that I had a tendency to distort reality. But people didn't buy it anymore. The cracks were too wide, too many details matched, too many things suddenly clicked. Then came the worst blow, the one I didn't see coming. Riley told me she overheard Olivia complaining at the studio. Apparently, she tried to re-enroll Brooklyn on a payment plan. When it didn't work, she started blaming me, loudly. Said I was punishing a child, ruining her future, acting out of deep jealousy. One of the moms who'd been on my email list, turns out she's a cousin by marriage, interrupted and said, "You should be ashamed. I used to admire you as a mother. Not anymore." Olivia left early that day. Brooklyn didn't perform in the winter showcase. The program director quietly removed her from the scholarship waiting list. I didn't request that, but I didn't stop it either. Then came the final card, another envelope for Lucas. No name, same handwriting, same sentence. "You're still welcome here if you change your mind." Didn't throw this one in the trash right away. Showed it to Lucas, asked him what he wanted to do with it. He looked at it for a long moment, then said, "They never made me feel welcome when I was actually there. Why would it be different now?" So we burned it together. That weekend, we drove upstate, found a small, quiet town with a good school and a library that looked like something from a storybook. Lucas said he could see himself living there. So could I. We've been looking at houses. Asterisk, asterisk, closing, asterisk, asterisk. Last thing I'll say is this. Cutting someone off doesn't feel like freedom at first. Feels like guilt, like doubt, like grief. But freedom doesn't always feel good immediately. Sometimes it feels like emptiness. And then one morning you wake up and realize you slept through the night without bracing for a text that twists your stomach. That's when you know it worked. That's when you know you're free. Let them tell whatever story they want now. Let them build a new version of events. Let my mother cry about her lost daughter at her charity lunches and Olivia sigh about people who make everything about themselves. I won't be there to hear it. The story is mine now. And it ends here. Sometimes I think about what might happen years from now. If Lucas ever asks for the full story, if Brooklyn reaches out again, if Mom sends another card, I don't rehearse those moments, won't prepare speeches, because I'm not living in defense anymore. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm just done. And in the quiet of this new town, with snow falling outside and Lucas reading by the window, I finally understand something I wish I'd learned earlier. You don't owe anyone your peace. You build it. You protect it. And when they try to walk back in with muddy feet, you leave the door locked.